1.7 Transformations of Functions. This is hopefully a refresher from stuff that we did back in Algebra 2. So the next step in writing mathematics is to be able to manipulate those parent functions that we talked about. So manipulating them by like shifting them left or right, or shifting them up and down, and maybe doing some stretches and compressions. We're mostly going to focus on just some shifts right now. So zooming in on this, we've got a couple things we can do here. Let C be a positive real integer. Vertical and horizontal shifts of the graph y equals f of x are represented as follows. So if we're doing a vertical shift C units upward, we're just going to add C onto the end there. If we're going to do a shift downward, we're just going to do whatever function we had and subtract C from it. For horizontal, things get a little trickier. If we're shifting C units to the right, let me actually color code this. If we're shifting to the right, we're going to be subtracting C from the x's, each and every x. And from the left, we're going to be adding the C value to the x's. So just adding a little bit of detail here. So for the vertical, change that C value, whatever we're adding or subtracting, is not grouped with x. And then for the for the horizontal changes, you'll see it's inside of the group with x. So the change is grouped with x. For these three examples, A, B, and C, we're asked to use the graph f of x equals x to the third and sketch the graph of each of the following functions. So let's actually just do a quick refresher then of x to the third. So for x to the third, I'm going to make a quick table, and then off to the right, we're going to make a graph of it. So there's some values we've done before: -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. If you cube -2, you get -8. -1 cubed is -1. 0 cubed is 0. 1 cubed is 1. 2 cubed is 8. And then let's make a quick graph, and let's do the best we can to make it reasonably to scale. So let's see, we only go 2 to the left and 2 to the right. And then we need to go up to a total of y equals 8. Not bad. And then down to -8. Okay. So if we plot these points, -2, -8 is about there, -1, -1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 8. So it's got that classic S shape, S curve going on there. So it looks a little something like that. So we're asked to take this information, take that graph that we just did for the cubic, and do the following changes. This one here, x to the third minus 1. That one is not grouped with x. I'm going to switch colors so I don't confuse myself. So that one's not grouped with x. So it is a vertical change, and we're going to be shifting. And since we're subtracting, we're going to shift down by 1. In other words, we're going to take you're going back to the rules that we did last year in Algebra 2. We're going to take the x and y coordinates that we had from the original parent function, and we're going to leave the x coordinate alone. We're going to take each y coordinate and shift it downward. We're going to subtract 1 from it. So when we make a graph of this, we're going to use those same x and y coordinates that we had for x cubed. We're just going to take the y values, each of these, and subtract 1 from them. So instead of -2, -8, we're going to be down at -2, so left 2, -9. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm off the graph. Let me go there a little bit. So -2, -9 is approximately there. Then instead of -1, -1, we're going to subtract 1 from the y value, so we'll be at -1, -2. Instead of 0, 0, we'll be at 0, -1. Instead of at 1, 1, we'll subtract 1 from the y coordinate and get 1, 0. And then instead of 2, 8, we'll be at 2, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right about there. So it's going to have the same general shape. Everything's just been shifted down by 1. For for b, which is h of x, we've got a +2 and a +1. That +2 is grouped with x, so it's going to be a horizontal change. So we're going to have a horizontal shift. Now remember, the horizontal stuff is always a little bit backwards. We're going to shift it 2 to the left. Then that plus 1 on the outside, not grouped with x, so it's going to be a vertical shift 1 up. So we're going to take each x value and add, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Let's make the rule. So we're going to take the old x and y values that we had, and we're going to shift each x value to the left. Now, what's in the rule and what's in the function are kind of the opposite. So if it's x plus 2 in the function, in the rule it's going to be x minus 2. We're going to be subtracting 2 from each of the x values. For the y values, we're just going to do y plus 1. The vertical stuff is a little more straightforward. So our first point, we're going to take negative 2, negative 8, the one we had from our original cubic. We're going to take negative 2, negative 8, shift it 2 to the left, so it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to be at negative 4 instead of negative 2. And we're going to shift it 1 up, which means we're going to add 1 to every y value. So instead of being at negative 2, negative 8, we're going to be at negative 4, negative 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's going to be right about there. Same thing for the negative 1, negative 1. We're going to subtract 2 from negative 1, so we're going to be over at negative 3. And we're going to add 1 to the y value, so we're going to be at negative 3, 0. Next up, 0, 0, we're going to shift that 2 to the left, so we're going to subtract 2 from it, so we're going to be at negative 2. And then the y coordinate of 0, we're going to add 1, so we're going to be at negative 2, 1. 1, 1, we're going to shift the x coordinate 1, we're going to subtract 2 and get negative 1. And we're going to shift it up 1, so it's going to be negative 1, and then our y value is going to be up at 2. So negative 1, 2. And then we're going to do 2, 8. We're going to subtract 2 from the y or x coordinate, giving us 0. Then we're going to add 1 to the y coordinate, so we're going to be at 0. Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I kind of crowded myself here. 0, 9. So it's going to be the same S curve. Oh, rats. Same S curve, just shifted 2 to the left and 3 up. What I'd like you to do is pause, try letter C on your own, and then check the answer key to see how you did.